I was serving dinner to the family that destroyed mine, and nobody knew who I really was. My name is Zainab. I'm 26 years old. I've been working as a maid in the Adelik household for 3 years, and for 3 years, I've been watching Mrs. Adelik complain about the food I cooked for her. Watching Mr. Adelik ignore his children while staring at his phone. Watching their son, David, treat me like I was invisible. Like I was part of the furniture. I know everything about this family. Where they spend their money. Who they really talk to when they think nobody's listening. What their secrets are. But they know nothing about me. And that was always the plan. My mother was a maid too. She worked for the Adelik family for 16 years. She cleaned their house. She cooked their food. She raised their children alongside her own work. She gave them everything. And they destroyed her. I don't want to tell this part of the story yet. It still makes my hands shake. But you need to understand. When my mother died 5 years ago, the Adelik family didn't go to her funeral. They didn't even send flowers. Mrs. Adelik just hired someone else the next week. When I got the job as their new maid, nobody recognized me. I looked different from my mother. I sounded different. I was careful. I wore the uniform. I made myself small. And I waited. I worked in their house and I listened. Mrs. Adelik would sit on the phone with her friends and brag about how much money they had, how many properties they owned, how their son was going to marry a girl from the right family. But I knew the truth. I knew that most of that money came from Mr. Adelik's business with the government. I knew about the bribes. I knew about the politicians who came to their house at night and gave them brown envelopes. I knew that David, the perfect son, was failing in university and they were paying the professors to pass him. I knew everything. And I was waiting for the right moment to use it. One day, something unexpected happened. Their youngest child, Ife, was home from school. She was 14 years old. Smart. Kind. The only one in the family who ever said, please, when asking me to do something. She came into the kitchen where I was preparing lunch. Zainab, she said, do you ever get sad? I was surprised by the question. What do you mean? I asked. Like, do you ever feel like nobody understands you? Like you're living in a house with your family but you're actually completely alone. I looked at her and I saw something I recognized. Pain. Loneliness. The same thing I felt. Yes, I said honestly. All the time. She sat down on the kitchen stool. My parents don't care about me, she said. They care about David because he's the son. They care about how things look. But they don't care about what I actually think or feel. I continued cooking. But I was listening. My friends at school, they only like me because my family has money. If we were poor, they'd drop me tomorrow. She looked at me. Sometimes I think you're the only real person in this house. I shouldn't have let her get close to me. That was the plan, stay invisible, gather information, wait for the moment. But Ife kept coming to the kitchen and talking to me. She'd tell me about her day, about her dreams, about how she wanted to be a journalist but her parents wanted her to marry well. And I listened. I actually listened. Not because I was gathering information. Because I cared. One day, she brought me a book. A novel about a woman who overcame everything and became successful on her own terms. I think you'd like this, Ife said. The main character reminds me of you. Strong. But sad about something nobody knows about. I took the book and my hands shook. Why are you being nice to me? I asked her. Because you're the only one who listens when I talk, she said simply. And everyone deserves to be heard. For 3 years, I waited for the right time. And then I found it. Mr. Adelik was arrested. The police came to the house early in the morning with a warrant. They said he was under investigation for corruption. They seized his accounts. They froze his assets. The Adelik family fell apart that day. Mrs. Adelik went to the hospital with stress. David dropped out of university without telling anyone. And Ife, she just sat in her room and cried because she realized the perfect life she had was built on lies. The police told them they needed to sell the house to pay back the money. The money my mother helped them steal. The money they got by working with politicians and businessmen who destroyed other people's families to get richer. That's when I revealed myself. I went to Ife first. I told her everything. Who I was. Who my mother was. Why I was really there. She looked at me like I'd slapped her. "You lied to me?" she said, tears in her eyes. "Yes," I said. "I'm sorry." "Why are you telling me now?" "Because you're the only one in this family with a good heart. And because you deserve to know the truth." Then I went to Mrs. Adele. She was sitting in the living room, looking smaller than I'd ever seen her. Like someone had pulled out her skeleton and left just the skin. "Do you remember Mama Teo?" I asked her. She looked up at me slowly. "She worked for you for 16 years. She cleaned your house. She cooked your food. She made sure your children had everything they needed." Mrs. Adelique's face went white. "You're her daughter," I said. "Yes." I told her everything. About my mother working there. About how she died. About how the Adelique family just moved on like she never existed. "Your family built their wealth on people like my mother," I said quietly. "People who had no protection, no voice, no choice. And I came here to make you suffer for it." Mrs. Adelique started crying. "I didn't know," she said. "I didn't know she had a family. I didn't know she had a daughter." "You didn't want to know," I said. "That's not the same thing as not knowing. You just chose not to see." The Adelique family had to leave their house. They moved to a smaller apartment in a neighborhood they'd never been to before. Suddenly, they were around people who didn't know their name. People who didn't care about their money or their history. Mrs. Adelique had to find a job. Mr. Adelique was waiting for his trial. David was working at a restaurant, doing what I'd been doing for 3 years, serving people and hoping they'd treat him with respect. And Ife was the one who surprised me. She came to find me 2 weeks after I revealed myself. I was working at a different house by then, a smaller one, saving money to start my own business. "I want to help," Ife said when she found me. "I want to help make this right." "You can't," I told her. "Your family needs you." "My family lied to me my whole life," she said. "But you were honest with me when you didn't have to be. You could have just let me find out through the police investigation. But you told me yourself. That means something." Ife started working with me. We took care of houses together. We cooked. We cleaned. And slowly, she understood something that most people never understand. How invisible people become when they serve you. One day, Mrs. Adelique showed up at the house where we were working. She was there to pick up her daughter. But when she saw me cleaning, she stopped. "I recognize you now," she said quietly. "You look like your mother. Around the eyes." I didn't say anything. I just kept cleaning. "I want to apologize," she said. "But I know that's not enough. Apologies don't bring her back. They don't change what happened." I looked at her. "What do you want from me?" I asked. "Nothing," she said. "But I want to understand. What happened to your mother after she stopped working for us?" So I told her. My mother tried to find another job, but the Adelique family had told other families that she was a thief, that she'd stolen from them. It wasn't true, but nobody believed her. She couldn't find work. She couldn't pay rent. She got sick. Tuberculosis. But she couldn't go to the hospital because she had no money. So she went home and she just waited to die. I was 20 years old. I was in university. I had to drop out to take care of her. And when she died, I was alone. Mrs. Adelique listened to all of this and she didn't interrupt. When I finished, she just sat down on the couch and she cried. Not because she felt guilty, but because she finally understood that there are real people affected by every lie we tell, every corner we cut, every person we ignore. Mr. Adelique's trial took a long time, but eventually, He was convicted. He had to serve prison time. It wasn't much, maybe 2 years. But it was something. Before he went to prison, I went to see him. I don't know why. Maybe I needed to see his face. Maybe I needed to hear him acknowledge what he'd done. We sat across from each other in a visiting room. "You're the maid's daughter," he said. It wasn't a question. "Yes," I said. "My wife told me everything. About your mother. About how she died." He looked at me with dead eyes. "I'm sorry," he said. "Are you?" I asked. "Or are you just sorry you got caught?" He didn't answer. "I came here to tell you something," I said. "I came here to tell you that destroying my mother's life didn't make you richer. It just made you smaller. And now the whole world knows it." I stood up to leave. "Wait," he said. "What are you going to do now? With your life?" I looked at him. "I'm going to do what my mother never got to do," I said. "I'm going to live. I'm going to build something. I'm going to matter." 6 months later, something unexpected happened. Aoife came to me and she said she wanted to do something with her life. She didn't want to marry someone her parents chose. She didn't want to be a trophy wife. "I want to start a foundation," she said, "for the families of domestic workers. To make sure what happened to your mother never happens to anyone else." "Why?" I asked. "Because," she said, "I've spent the last 6 months understanding what it means to be invisible. And I never want to go back to not seeing people." We started the foundation together. Aoife used what money her family had left. I used my savings. We helped families like mine, families who had lost breadwinners, families who had been forgotten, families who had no voice. It started small. Just a few families. But then other people started helping. Teachers, lawyers, doctors, people who believed that everyone deserved to be seen. One day, David came to the foundation. He wasn't coming to apologize. He was coming to volunteer. He'd been working at that restaurant for a year. He'd been serving people. And he'd realized something. He'd been treated the way his family had treated people for years. Like he was nothing. Like his name didn't matter. "I want to help," he said. "I want to be different from my family." I didn't know if I trusted him at first. But Aoife said, "Everyone deserves a chance to change. That's what this foundation is about." So we let him help. And slowly, David did change. Not because he had to, but because he wanted to. Mrs. Adele Eek started coming to the foundation too. She wasn't the same woman who'd ignored my mother's death. She was quieter, smaller, but real. She began to understand that money doesn't buy happiness. It just buys distance from the people who really need you. She started volunteering, teaching cooking skills to the families we helped, sharing what she knew, becoming useful in a way that actually mattered. And one day, she came to me and she said something I didn't expect. "I can never give you your mother back," she said. "But I can make sure her death means something. That her life meant something. Let me do that. Please." I looked at her for a long time. "Okay," I said finally. "You can." Here's what I learned. Revenge is a story you tell yourself where you're the main character. But it's not a real story. Real stories are about what happens after the anger. Real stories are about whether you choose to build something or just destroy things. I could have destroyed the Adele Eek family. I could have taken everything from them like they took everything from my mother. But instead I built something. With Aoife. With David. With Mrs. Adele Eek. Even with the parts of the family that were willing to change. And that hurt them more than revenge ever could. Because they had to look at themselves. They had to understand what they'd done. They had to live with the consequences. But more importantly, I healed. My mother's name was Teyo Okafor. She was a beautiful woman who loved to cook. She wanted her children to go to university. She believed in kindness even when the world wasn't kind to her. For 5 years, I was angry about the fact that she was forgotten. But now, because of the foundation, dozens of families know her name. Hundreds of people have been helped because of her memory. She's not forgotten anymore. She's everywhere. The end.